And so last, but certainly never least, let's talk about self-care. So during the holidays, this is especially important. The holidays are a stress minefield. And so I really want you to stay ahead in every way that you can, to make them as enjoyable as possible. And so first, I want to talk about just some common triggers for stress, and you can see which ones you most identify with. Check in with yourself every once in a while and see how you're doing on these, and think about what you can do to turn them around or how you can ask for help in turning them around. So one type of quick check that I like to do is called a body scan. And it pretty much is exactly what it sounds like, where you take a moment to pause, take a deep breath, and then just tune into your body, kind of feeling out or listening for any stress points, which can be all kinds of different things, whether it's, tight muscles or sore spots, a clenched jaw, radiating heat in different parts of your body, tiredness, numbness, rumbling stomach, upset stomach, headache. For me, I get a lot of pressure in my sternum, just really getting familiar with how stress presents for you, and kind of growing in awareness so that, when you find these hot spots, it kind of alerts you, waves a little red flag and lets you know that you need to do something. So I think hunger definitely belongs at the top of this list, and I may completely be speaking from personal experience, but that anger that comes from being hungry, is definitely real. And so if you're feeling cranky or irritable or particularly impatient, ask yourself when you last ate and try to keep refueling snacks on hand. Personally, I have what I call safety snacks in my bag at all times to prevent hunger from setting in, because it is, in my life, it is dangerous. Also looking at, the next several on this list together, feelings of, uncertainty, which can spark a lot of helplessness, fear, anger, and irritability. These can be especially draining. And, anger and irritability, they tend to cover for other feelings that are too vulnerable to let out, that are too scary to feel. And so it can be easier, like instead of feeling disappointed or betrayed or embarrassed or hurt or scared or helpless, we cover them up unconsciously with anger instead. And so, if you do find yourself feeling angry or irritable, it can help to just pause for a moment to try to, or after the fact. Sometimes in the moment, the rage is just going to roll, but afterwards to take a moment to think about, well, what was going on behind the anger, and see if there are ways that you can address that. And for all of those, an exercise that I find is useful, when you just need to take a moment to soothe and to kind of hit a reset button, is called grounding. And so basically it's where you pull yourself out of your head and kind of down into your body by focusing on your senses. And so you close your eyes. You can also do it with your eyes open, but especially if it's new to you, I find it best to start with your eyes closed and to take slow, deep breaths and to really just focus on, what do you hear? What can you smell? What can you taste? And especially what can you feel? Even focusing on the weight of your clothes and how they're touching your body, the pressure of the chair or the floor, or, wherever you have contact with something, focusing on textures and temperatures. I especially like to do this outside, especially if I'm going for a walk, in which case I don't close my eyes. But, feeling the air, the breeze, listening for sounds of nature or even traffic. This is an exercise that is a kind of timeout that you can do just about anywhere. And that can really kind of calm any riled up emotions in the moment. And now giving yourself an actual timeout, to really just step away and get out of a situation, also is not a bad idea. And so take a timeout if you can get one. I know that I'm an introvert, and so I'm easily overstimulated by big groups of people, and so one of my strategies, at a party or a gathering is, even to just go into the bathroom for a couple of minutes, just to breathe and to kind of ground myself, or to find a quiet corner. Sometimes I disguise it with helping by saying like, well, let me go into the kitchen and I'm just going to wash some dishes or, do something to help, but just as a way to give myself a mini timeout. And then let's talk about exhaustion. If you're a dementia caregiver, there's a good chance you're not getting the most solid sleep of your life, and that you're feeling pretty worn out 24/7. And so, adding sleep might not be realistic, but, doing what you can to build downtime into your day, and focusing on like true downtime where, you put away devices, turn off the TV, and really just breathe. Really building in moments of quiet and stillness where you can, and figuring out, whether having short bursts of meditation or grounding, deep breathing, can give you a spot of rest. And if it's hard to focus on those things, there are lots of great apps that can, kind of guide you. So one app that I like is just called Calm. And it has lots of exercises to follow just to, even when you only have a moment, but then I also want to encourage you to do what you can to protect your sleep. And so like, and really making it a priority. So even if you're not getting a full night or your sleep is often interrupted, if scheduling respite just so that you can get caught up on sleep, that like you're allowed to do that. You can give yourself permission to do that and to ask for that. Catching up on your sleep is a priority. And then otherwise just practicing what's called good sleep hygiene. So not exercising too close to bedtime, not having caffeine or too much sugar or nicotine, and other stimulants too close to bedtime, turning off blue light devices, so phones, tablets, laptops, TVs, at least an hour before bedtime, and then setting up kind of a self-care sleep ritual that just helps you kind of get into a, like, kind of flushing the stress of the day out and gets you prepared for sleep, so that when you lie down, you're not just lying there awake staring at the ceiling, or worrying about all the things that there are to worry about. And then last, I want to just touch on, loneliness and disconnection. These are really common stressors for caregivers, because caregiving is just by nature very isolating, as you find that you need to stay home more and more with your loved one, when they can't be on their own. And this can especially feel worse at the holidays. And so, as much as you can, reach out for connection and ask for visits. And if it seems like all of your visits are getting bunched up around the holidays, and then the rest of the year is quiet, it's okay to ask for a future visit as a gift. It doesn't have to be, just kind of 5 weeks out of the year. But you can ask to spread it out, or to consider breaking large gatherings into a series of, smaller gatherings, or even one-on-one visits, which, might be easier for your loved one to handle anyway, but also would provide you with more connection time overall, and maybe have a chance for deeper and more meaningful connection. But to really, take care of your relational needs in that way. And so with any of the things on this list, if you notice that there's stress building up, or you notice that it's a particular issue for you, really find a way to make a change. Don't just white knuckle it and power through. And if making changes feels really overwhelming and out of reach, then I really urge you to get support from a support group, even, an online support group. I know there's huge support groups on Facebook that are very active, or getting one-on-one help for your particular situation from a therapist. And in all of this, like, really just recognizing that you are balancing many emotions. That the holidays are an emotional time. Caregiving is very emotional and stressful, and caregiving for someone with dementia during the holidays, is just going to add to that. And so, there's probably a swirl of emotions going on at any given time. So really take some time to listen to how you're feeling, and allow yourself to really feel what you feel. And if you have a trusted friend or family member that you can talk to, or a support group or a therapist, make space for that, schedule it, ask for it. All of your feelings are valid, and that can feel very confusing when you're having a lot of different feelings, asking for your attention all at the same time. And so you might feel really happy about something one moment, and then feel really sad that this holiday is different than holidays past, or be feeling really grateful for friends, but also noticing, that you're feeling really lonely in your caregiving, or happy to see family and happy that it's time, for some kind of, traditions and normalcy, but maybe you're also feeling resentful that you only see them at the holidays when you really need them all year, and so on and so on. I mean, it's just an endless list. And I think it's also really important to acknowledge grief. And grief comes from loss of all kinds, not only death. That loss is loss. And as you see how the holidays have changed because of dementia, you might feel lost with those changes. Or you might be thinking about family members that have passed on, or thinking about how few holidays might be left with your loved one with dementia. And that loss of an expected future is also loss. So when you're feeling this way, when you notice these feelings, do what you can to care for yourself in that emotional place. Whether it's writing in a journal, praying, meditating, talking to someone, giving yourself just time to cry, doing something that's soothing or calming for you. Be intentional about acknowledging that care that you need, and knowing that you're allowed to look for it. But I do also want to say that, among the losses, I want to encourage you to look for the possibility for new meaning to emerge. As you adjust to how the holidays look for you and your loved one with dementia, you are still making new memories. They might not be what they've been before, but they're still memories that are worth making, and there are new ways that you're experiencing the holidays, and where caregiving can be exhausting and heartbreaking, it does also provide new ways to care and love, that are very unique to that situation, that couldn't have come about in any other way. And I completely recognize that this can be a very difficult mindset shift to make, if you're really suffering in your caregiving role and feeling overwhelmed and burned out, and really grieving. But I have also seen that it is a shift that can really let in joy and meaning in the midst of the struggle. And so I really, really do want to encourage you in that. And if you find that that kind of shift feels impossible, to really reach out for help and support, so that you're not in your struggle alone. And no matter how you're struggling, I want you to please always know that you are doing your very best, and that this is always true. And I firmly believe that. And so, dear caregivers, I really hope that this has been helpful information for you. And I wish you and yours a very happy